Good evening, Chairman and Planning Commissioners. I'm Jace Hockwalt, Associate Planner with the City of Grand Junction Community Development Department. Up for consideration tonight is a request for review and approval of a service plan for the proposed West Junction Metropolitan District. The applicant for this proposal is Foothills Housing 2, LLC. The service plan district boundaries for the proposed development are outlined in red on the screen. The applicant is planning to develop 177 acres with a northern boundary of G Road, southern boundary of Highway 6 and 50, eastern boundary of 23 3/4 Road, and western boundary of 23 1/4 Road. The applicant is proposing that the development be under one district and not multiple metropolitan districts, which can sometimes be the case for larger and mixed-use type developments. The proposed development is expected to have a mix of uses, including single and multifamily residential, commercial, and industrial type uses. The primary purpose for forming the Metropolitan District is to finance construction of public improvements within the service boundary. Per state statute, the first step is to develop a service plan for the district, which is to be considered and, if found acceptable, approved by the city. For some background, the site is zoned PD or planned development within the city limits, and there is an approved outline development plan for the property, which is known as the community. This project was initially approved in 2015 and amended in 2019. As indicated on the right-hand side of the screen, the PD is broken up into 4 pods. Pod 1, which is at the northwest corner of the site, will generally consist of medical office, clinic, group living, attached, detached, and multifamily residential land uses. Pod 2, which is situated on the east side of the site, will generally consist of medical office, group living, retail sales and service, personal care, general offices, and attached, detached, and multifamily residential land uses. Pod 3, which is situated on the west side of the site, will generally consist of multifamily residential, attached and detached residential, hotel and motel uses, general offices, contractor shops, and retail sales and services. Pod 4, which is situated on the southeast side of the site, will generally consist of shopping center, restaurant, retail sales and service, general office, manufacturing and production, and mixed-use multifamily type developments. Single-family uses are not allowed within Pod 4. Where single-family uses are allowed in Pods 1 through 3, a minimum density of 5.5 units per acre is to be had. Additionally, where multifamily uses are allowed, which is in all pods, density range between 12 and 24 units per acre will be required. A list of the authorized uses can be found within Ordinance 4855, which was passed and adopted on May 15th of 2019. As indicated, the property is currently zoned PD or planned development within the city limits. The future land use map shown on the screen reflects 2 designations for the subject site. These include commercial and commercial industrial. These designations allow for various commercial, industrial, and multifamily uses. While single-family uses are typically not conducive to the future land use designation shown, the planned development ordinance, which was approved, allows for a percentage of single-family attached, detached, and duplex uses within the development. While the service plan does not indicate the exact uses proposed, land use proposals will need to conform with the PD ordinance, or amendments will be required for the existing PD. Special districts are quasi-municipal corporations that are organized to act for a particular purpose. A metropolitan district is a special district that provides any 2 or more services, which may include things such as fire protection, parks and recreation, solid waste and water services, among others. Districts have the ability to acquire bonds for the construction of the improvements and to levy taxes to the area within their boundaries to repay those bonds. The financing, construction, and operation and maintenance of improvements and services to support new development is legally the responsibility of the district if formed. The trend with special district legislation has been to allow local governments to have greater control over the formation and operation of special districts. The approval process for the service plan is the key to exercising that control as a means of preventing unnecessary proliferation of local government and tax sources and eliminating overlapping services. The Grand Junction Municipal Code does not contain provisions for review of service plans. Therefore, the process of submittal and review of a service plan is governed by state statute. The requirements include submittal of the service plan to the city clerk, who in turn provides notice to the Colorado Department of Local Affairs. For this project, this was completed on June 17th of 2020. Then, per local policy, the service plan is referred to the Planning Commission for review and recommendation. City Council then sets a public hearing date and holds the hearing. Council has already set the hearing date of August 5th at its prior meeting on July 15th. If approved by City Council, affected property owners must vote to approve the district. If the district is formed, the sale of bonds generates funding for infrastructure and amenities. As development occurs, bonds are repaid by property owners within the district through the additional taxes paid by district residents. The applicant maintains oversight of the district. An annual audit is conducted and reports are submitted to the city and the state. The city has no legal or financial liability during the life of the district. It does not reduce tax revenues, and it does not draw from the city's capital improvement budget or capital reserves. The required submittal elements for a service plan are included in Section 32-1-202 of the Colorado Revised Statutes. The first element is a description of services. Statutory requirements state that a metropolitan district may include a variety of services, but is required to provide at least 2 services that benefit the public. The service plan for the West Junction Metropolitan District is being established to finance the construction, acquisition, and/or operation of the improvements listed on the slide. The district will be responsible for the financing and construction of public improvements, some of which will be conveyed to the city, Ute Water, or other governmental entities. Another required element is a financial plan, which is included in the proposed service plan for the proposed West Junction Metropolitan District. The financial plan was reviewed by the city's Director of General Services, Jay Valentine, and he provided a quick summary as supplied on the screen. It proposes the total debt the district shall be permitted to issue shall not exceed $65 million. This debt is not backed by any pledge of revenue from the city, and approval of the plan is not a guarantee of debt repayment by the city. Additionally, the public improvements will be primarily financed by the issuance of general obligation or GO bonds secured by 50 mils ad valorem tax, and bonds will be issued in 2 separate series, including Series 2021 and Series 2026. The district may also impose an operating mill levy to fund administrative, operating, and facilities maintenance expenses. This mill levy is anticipated to be 10 mils. For reference in the district, a commercial building valued at $600,000 will have a property tax payment to the district in the amount of $10,440, while a residential home that's valued at $300,000 will have a property tax payment to the district in the amount of $1,431. In addition to the overall district boundaries map shown earlier, another required element of a service plan are preliminary engineering drawings. For the proposal, surveys such as those shown on the screen are included in the service plan to meet this requirement. The surveys further describe the services to be provided. I realize that both these surveys shown on the screen are a bit small, but for illustration, the survey on the left is a conceptual engineering drawing of the road and right-of-way infrastructure, while the survey on the right is an illustration of the sanitary sewer main plan within the development. With that said, these plans are preliminary and are subject to change upon the time of development review. Proposed development plans will be submitted and reviewed by the city under separate land use actions. No specific dates have been proposed as to when infrastructure development will begin, and no final plans have been received. In addition to the description of facilities to be constructed that are illustrated in the preliminary engineering surveys, the service plan must also include cost estimates of the construction. The estimated total cost of the improvements, including public sanitary sewer, water, streets, storm drainage facilities, irrigation, and landscaping, total approximately $65,208,869. A detailed breakdown can be seen in Exhibit C within the applicant's submitted service plan. Another required element is an intergovernmental agreement, or IGA, between the Metropolitan District and the city regarding those services to be turned over to the city and ongoing maintenance of them. The district is expected to undertake all ownership, operations, and maintenance responsibilities for the public improvements that are not conveyed to the city, Ute Water, or other governmental entities. If the district operates the facilities, revenue for operating expenses may be obtained from tax revenues or from the assessment of other fees and charges imposed pursuant to statute. Approval of the service plan by the city constitutes the city's agreement that the district may perform these functions. Based on a supplemental memo provided by the applicant, which can be found in the application packet, it is currently proposed that 3 separate IGAs may be provided. The first is a contractual obligation IGA. The purpose of this IGA is to create a contractual obligation between the city and the district as a mechanism for enforcement of the service plan provisions by either party. The second is a recreation facility IGA. As the applicant will discuss in their presentation, a recreation facility is anticipated to be provided within the district. The developer will design and construct to city standards and specifications a multi-purpose recreation facility in which the district will own the building and grounds and finance the cost of the building. The facility is proposed to be operated and maintained by the city through an operating agreement with the district. The third is a roadway improvements IGA, in which the applicant is proposing that the district finance street improvements subject to a cost recovery agreement between parties based on a formula of sharing the revenue generated by certain permitting fees. Please note that none of these IGAs have been solidified at this point in time and will continue to be discussed and negotiated between city staff and the applicant team. As such, a condition of the service plan approval will be the approval and execution of 1 or more intergovernmental agreements describing the improvements and responsibilities of the City of Grand Junction and the West Junction Metropolitan District. Pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 32-1-203, the City Council may approve the service plan without condition or modification, disapprove the service plan, or conditionally approve the service plan subject to modifications of the proposed service plan. If the later, final approval shall be contingent upon modification of the service plan to include such changes or additional information as shall be specifically stated in the findings. In accordance with state statute, The findings of the city shall be based solely upon the service plan and evidence presented at the hearing by the petitioners, planning commission, and any interested party. The findings are that the service plan is consistent with the comprehensive plan and it meets state statutes for formation of a metropolitan district. Thus, the recommendation is approval subject to the condition of approval and execution of one or more intergovernmental agreements describing the improvements and responsibilities of the City of Grand Junction and the West Junction Metropolitan District. This concludes my presentation, but I'd be happy to provide any clarity at the in-person meeting. Thank you.